Hey there, Dwayne. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, just actually started. You and I are the only two here. Hopefully the sound is a little better. I don't know. Still working with it. Anyhow, I saw my Pirates. Yay! Took game four. Nice, nice, nice. So is the series even now? 1903. As we wait for some folks, hopefully to assemble. All right. So the series is tied at two. Nice, nice, nice. All right. Go Bucks. Go Bucks. Go Bucks. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know when you were going on. I ended up crashing. There's Carlos. Good evening, Carlos. Yes, I crashed out and unfortunately missed the game, but caught it on the flip side. So nice. Deacon Felipe, his worst game, and he gets the win. Not that's all right. We'll take it any way we can get it. Yeah, we will. So all right. Hopefully, all our everyone is doing well here on a Saturday night. We'll just wait to see if some other folks show up, and we'll chat some baseball while we let Diamond Mine Baseball run in the background. So that would be fun. So let me see who's around on the Discord. Not too many people right now, so we'll just hang out and see what's up, what is going on. So you don't have too many games left on your Bill Janine is now 0 and 2. So you're getting down to the end in your Yankees Braves replay, 1961. So bravo there for that. Bravo, bravo. So hopefully we can get Bernie. I'm not seeing either Bernie or Mike right now on Discord, but hopefully um, get them on here and we can just have a little baseball chat. Maybe not going as long as usual. Famous last words, but you never know. There's Philip Reynolds. Wow. Hey, Philip. Good to see you. So Philip Reynolds, there's another channel for everybody to check out. Caught some of Philip's broadcasts. They're very good. The baseball ones. I don't follow any other sports, Philip, but catch your baseball stuff. Good stuff. So you're down. You're just getting down to 20 some games to go. Way to go. Hey, Peb99, welcome in. Just waiting to see whether these New Englanders will come in here so that we can get one or both on the call. It looks like right now, not sure who is online, who's offline. Just hanging out. So, all right. So hopefully you guys are having some fun with your projects, and we're rushing into the holiday season. Already seeing Christmas decorations going up, and it's not even Thanksgiving yet. Everybody's in a hurry. The nice thing about this hobby that we have here is we can just take our time, do what we want, and make this wonderful baseball game, game of baseball the way we want it to be. Whether you like all the ghost runner nonsense and all that kind of stuff, or you want to keep it as pristine as possible, um, we can stop time, and I like that. Or we can one of the few things you can really control, right? And a lot of fun that way. So hopefully we get Bernie on here tonight, and certainly Michael. I think that would be a nice thing. Two Red Sox fans on here. Bernie, of course, you know, got to actually see Ted Williams play. Yep, weekend at Bernie's party time. Exactly. Um, got to see Ted Williams play. He was it's so many pivotal moments in Boston Red Sox history. So it'll be sort of fun. It'll be very fun to talk to him about not only just Boston Red Sox baseball, but just baseball in general, whatever. Yep, gang's all here except the two people I'm waiting for, cousin. Welcome in. Ken Castro here, the heart and soul of this channel. So Philip Reynolds says that he's doing a quest for that 61 project using History Maker for Yankee home run leader after 23 games. Says 9, Mayor says 7, Yankees won, 21 lost 2. Hell of a start there, Philip. That's a great start. All right. And Pip 99 is finishing up his 1886 replay tonight with Action PC. National League is done, and the American Association almost there. So nice. 1886. Good stuff. Yeah, cousin. And there's Big Clue. He says, "Good evening, baseball fans. We need to get him on. Well, maybe we'll get him on with these other two outlaws and stuff. So hopefully, Bernie, wherever you are, Bernie and Mike. So good to see Big Clue again. Missed you last night in our little tete-a-tete, if you will. Hopefully the volume's a little better. I'm still kind of futzing with it, but nonetheless, here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. And 12 people. And behind our little weekend at Bernie's thingy, we do have Diamond Mine Baseball ready to go in the background. So that will keep Big Clue happy. He's a big Diamond Mine fan, as am I. So Dwayne and cousin Ken talking some baseball here, and there is Sports Time Machine Mike. He says, "Hello, hot stove baseball fans. How about it, Mike?" It's that this is kind of just as fun as the regular season. All the conjecture going on and things like that. So, yet another channel you guys all know, but still, you never know who's coming new to our community. So I always like to just mention the obvious to also subscribe and check out Sports Time Machine. Does some great baseball, other sports as well, but does some great baseball. Mike is one of the good guys, one of the stalwarts of the community. So always glad when Mike stops by. Oh my God! And there he is. So Dave, for Bernie, we're gonna get you on the call here in a minute. Dave, I never get to see you too much, but I want to thank you, um, not only for your just the awesome work you do in the community, but and getting me into Pocket Pennant Run and caught your superb video previewing Pocket Pennant Run 3. Cannot wait. But also your kind of your very measured response to Strat Max. Um, so good stuff. You were mentioned favorably on Replay Gamers channel. Watch their video today. Watch that video today. So Dave Gardner, another channel that you definitely have to check out. Not only Dave's own channel, but also Digital Dice, what he does with Ron Juckett. So do check it out. Again, I mean, new people coming into our community all the time. So even though all of us here know one another, what have you, it's always good to still do that because people want to check. So Bernie, are you ready to come on here and talk some baseball? I don't know where Mr. Silva is, but we'll find him. We'll find him. So we have Heads Upton. I hopefully I got that right. Heads Upton. He says we're gonna love Action PC 2024. He says being a beta tester, it's all you can say. Looking forward to it because last year was amazing. Doug, welcome in. Doug Hunt is joining us. So Bernie, let's see if you're on the Discord and let's get you on and started because people don't want to hear me; they want to hear you. And there's Mike. All right. So Bernie, I'm not seeing you on Discord. Need to. Uh, I'll keep checking. MV is here. Good God. Yeah, just pull up a chair, whatever, grab a beverage, and just hang out. Be community, you know? Ask Bernie what it was like to see the opening of Fenway Parks, his big clue. It's already started. It started. All right. So we have a beta tester in here for Action PC 24. Yep, can't wait for it. It's going to be fun stuff. All right, Bernie is on. So guys, and there's Mike. So I'm gonna be sitting here. I mean, in this company, this community of ours is dominated by Red Sox fans, and so we're gonna have two of them on tonight, especially with Bernie. We want Bernie to sort of talk about just I don't know. The floor is theirs. The floor is theirs. So, Bernie, you're like the Beatles because right now there's 22 people in here, so or people watching. So let's get Bernie and Mike on here. So one moment, guys. Get him on the Discord. All right, we'll get Bernie on here. All right. So welcome in everybody. We'll get everything started here in a moment. All right, let's get Bernie on here first. All right, Bernie.
Hello.
There he is. All right, everybody, we got Bernie Stroum on here. It is definitely weekend at Bernie's, so this is good. So let's get Mike
Hold on
here.
1 second.
What's that? MV says this is a good time to. Probably not, MV. It's probably not a good time to bring that up at all. Sold out like Shea Stadium for the actual Beatles. Nice, good call there, Carlos. I'm just glad everybody's come in to listen to Bernie, listen to Mike, and I get Big Clue on here. Anybody that really wants to come on. So lots of luminaries. Are you back with us, Bernie?
I am.
All right. Are you hearing? Can you hear okay? Oh, did we lose him again? I think we did. Yep, we did. All right. Well, let's get Mr. Silva here. Where is he? Where is he? So I'm seeing Bernie here, but I can't hear him. The best laid plans, huh? All right, let's get Mike on here so Mike can say hi to everybody. All right. All right, Mike, we got you?
Yeah, you got me.
All right. Not sure with Bernie, or hopefully we'll get him. So.
Didn't you just have him on there, or no? I thought you.
Yeah,
I
but
thought
then
I
there
heard
was
him.
then it seems like there was a kind of a sort of cut off. So I don't know what's going on yet. So that's why I just got you on here, and hopefully we get Bernie. There.
Carry on.
Are you back, Bernie?
I'm back.
Okay, getting a little bit of sound distortion, but I think we'll be okay. All right, so here we go. I did look into StreamYard, Dwayne. I've used it before, so I just decided to start tonight in OBS. I have no idea why. All right, so guys.
Oh, hey, Beatles.
Yeah,
Before we
yeah,
start, I
yeah.
just want to draw your attention to Discord, the announcements post I just put on. I was flipping channels on the TV right now.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't believe what was on,
Uh,
what was just starting at 10:30.
okay, let's check it out. Weekend at Bernie's. Oh my God.
It's hilarious.
All right, it's really getting spooky here. Oh my God. There we go. Clee Baseball Fan is in here. Yet another channel everybody should check out. All right, so here I am hanging out with two Red Sox fans, two New Englanders, and everybody. You should know Michael Silva, of course, and he's soon, right, Mike? You're going to be joining the streaming community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely want to at some point. I just need to get the balls to do it.
Nice pun. So of course everybody knows Mike for his great work on Out of the Park Baseball, both the stadium mod, ballpark mod, and also the uniforms logos mod. So excellent work. And then the guy here, the man himself, Bernie Strom. Bernie, how you doing, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right. So I thought it'd be really fun to have both of you guys on here, kind of, both ends of the spectrum, if you will, as far as a younger baseball fan and a more seasoned, right? You've seen a lot of great things, so it's kind of just going to be a free for all here, as opposed to a 60 minutes interview. So I don't know, Bernie. Let me just start with you. I mean, so lifetime Boston Red Sox fan. Um, so maybe just go back a little bit. You told me that you got to see Ted Williams play, and I go all off about that. I wonder if you could talk about that. I mean, because for almost all of us here in this channel, right, we know Ted Williams just through, our replays, or we know about Ted Williams through reading or whatever. But you saw one of the greatest, one of the immortals. You talk about that a little bit, Bernie. Kind of move forward and let it organically flow with you and Mike. How's that sound?
It sounds good, but I have to start a little bit before Ted Williams.
Okay, start before Ted Williams.
You know, I was 8 years old, and it was the summer of 1959, and I was a I was a casual baseball fan. I was an 8-year-old baseball fan. I don't think you can be terribly serious at 8. And I'm listening to a Red Sox game, and I happen to know the date. I know the date because I looked up the game later in my life. It was July 11th, 1959, and the Red Sox had a shortstop named Don Budden. I don't know if anybody remembers him. He was a poor hitting, lousy fielding shortstop for the Red Sox of the 1950s and early 1960s. And he hit a grand slam home run in the bottom of the 10th inning to beat the New York Yankees. And from that moment on, I was a crazy Red Sox fan. I don't think I don't know what did it about that game or that home run, but on July 11th, 1959, I became a Boston Red Sox fanatic.
Well, Mr. Budden, thank you for that. We got to thank him then personally. Have you on here. That is great. What a great story. Actually, before you get into Ted Williams, Bernie, just in general, so talking to you and doing these replays, and again, so from 1959, so what, 63 years now, a baseball fan, what have you, 64. My math is terrible. I wanted to ask you, as far as doing these replays and stuff like that, and you're doing a lot of Red Sox replays. Does it feel to you like the experience is more, I don't know, does it feel more real to you because it's bringing back memories? So as you're doing replays, like 1967, for instance, which we'll get into later, of course. Did, are those memories coming back? I mean, I know this sounds like a bizarre question, but because you've seen so much baseball and you've been a fan for so long, I just maybe wanted to get into that a little bit. How these replays work and mesh with your memories of what you've seen at Fenway and elsewhere.
Well, 1967 was an interesting replay because I had probably attended or watched on TV 100 of the 162 games that season. Mm-hmm. And I'm replaying games that I've seen on TV. I'm replaying games that I've actually witnessed in person. And while I was doing that replay, I was actually back in the stadium in my brain. I was almost like I was calling the games for real.
Wow.
And not and not in fiction.
That is really neat.
I enjoyed the 1967 replay. Of course, I don't have the same feeling for 1914 because I wasn't alive. Neither was my father, in that matter. He wasn't born until 1917. But I'm enjoying 1914 because I'm enjoying dead ball that you got me interested in. I also want to tell you, Beatles, that you cost me $82 today.
Cool. How did I do that? I'm always
I knew you were
as Ken says, I love to spend other people's money. So how did I do that?
I knew you were going to ask that question. You sent me a note a couple of weeks ago about a book I should buy, The Beer and Whiskey League.
Oh yeah, great book.
And it came in about a week ago, and I've been reading it. And I didn't know anything about the American Association or any of these 1880s teams. And today I spent $103 at Dave Cook's Sports. I bought all the American Association seasons, 81 to 89. And of course, when I put that in the cart, I was halfway to $100, so I had to go to $100. So then I had to figure out what else to put in because I own almost everything I wanted to own. I threw in the 2 Federal Leagues.
You know seasons. What? You're hitting Ken Castro right where he lives with all this talk. Keep going. This is awesome.
And then I found an odd golf season I didn't own. And then there were 2 6 for $11 Christmas specials baseball, one baseball and one basketball, where I didn't need all 12 seasons, but I could have used 7 of the 12 that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have. And I ended up with 26 seasons, 21 of which I needed or didn't need, but 21 of which were new for $82. So for $3.90 a season, I spent $82
I
this
love it.
afternoon.
I love it. So how did you enjoy the beer and whiskey league? I mean, or how are you enjoying the book? I mean, it's like the Wild West of baseball.
I'm enjoying watching how different baseball was. Just a different game. It was not what we know baseball is today.
Mm-hmm.
They play with a ball, they play with a bat, but the players were different. It seemed like everything was different, but the owners still seem to be about the same.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so the American Association owners just as penurious as the National League. But I just love I love the whole approach though, of the American Association. And yeah, these guys are in it for the money, but what games cost a quarter. They played on Sundays and they allowed beer and whiskey. And the National League, of course, was geared for the more middle class, right? And it was 50 cents a game. And gambling was rife in the American Association. I've always been fascinated by because it kind of anticipates what the whole dead ball era was, just crazy, wild, and I love that. But I'm
So,
so glad I cost you some money, Bernie. It makes me happy.
yeah, the book cost me $5 on YouTube, and then I spent $82 buying seasons.
Well, and we need the seasons. I think you did say that. You were correct the first time. You always need seasons. There's never just, oh, I can do without. We need them because you never know, right?
Exactly what I was thinking myself.
There you go, Bernie. You talked, and I got to tell you that we got a diehard Yankees fan in here, right? And of course, I don't know if Mike knows this, but we'll do a big reveal in a little bit about you and the Yankees. But
I know. It's the second favorite team, right?
yeah, there he goes. Mike Silva coming in with that one. Um, and it's true. So, but yeah, so Sports Time Machine earlier in the chat says enough with this Red Sox chat. But here's the segue. So this is Bernie always trying with these failure seasons. Bernie, you told me one time in a chat that it's your goal to take some of the great Red Sox seasons that ended just short and to redeem the Red Sox. So is that something that you still want to move forward with? Because I think it's great. I'd love to do that with the Pirates, but life is too short for me. So
I'm spending the rest of my life doing it,
you're gonna
and
do it.
beginning in April, and of course I'm doing the 1914 season now, but this is the first year I've ever done baseball off season. I usually do whatever sports since I play games in football and basketball and
Hmm.
hockey. Also, I usually go with the seasons.
Hmm.
But if I was going to be part of this group, I had to do baseball year round. So that's why I'm doing 1914
And
off
you're
season.
enjoying it. Good. You're enjoying it. Uh, you know.
Having a great time with it. But
And
yeah, in the spring, I'm going after, since I just completed the 67 World Championship, I'm going after 72, 75, and 78 will be the 3 Red Sox seasons I'm going to replay next year,
and what we
beginning in April.
so Big Clue is saying here baseball 365, baby. That's what he says. So, and I agree. So, are we going to see some of that on your channel, Bernie? Or, I mean, what
I'm going to
plans do you have
do
coming up? I know
uh,
you're doing a lot of
I'm
dead
going to
ball, but
I'm going to do all 3 on the channel. You
wow.
know, I've been I play football games. I've
Hmm.
got 3 different replays going, and I've got a couple of basketball replays going, and a couple of hockey replays going. And I sit here, and when I'm playing them offline, I'm broadcasting them like I would be broadcasting it on YouTube. It's
Nice.
just not the same as baseball. Baseball is made for YouTube broadcasting in these sims.
It
Those
really is.
other games just aren't quite there, in my opinion. I don't
Agree.
find them as interesting.
So, do
I
you do you
agree.
feel that that's because is maybe there's many people have said, and I agree with this, that baseball is best either heard on, well, just to use the term radio or seeing it live. Baseball is a lousy television sport. I mean, would you say that there's some connection there, Bernie? Because you're calling games as if you were calling them as a radio announcer.
Well, that's true. No, I would agree with that. Football is made for television.
Hmm.
And quite frankly, I don't know as much about football, basketball, and hockey as I know about baseball. So I'm not as comfortable broadcasting it. So, I mean, although they're easy to broadcast,
Hmm.
I was going to do some of these other sports, but I think I'm going to stick with baseball. So I'll be doing baseball 300. As Big Clue said, I'll be doing baseball 365 days a year
Well, let me
on
tell you, my
YouTube.
friend.
I don't think I'm going to be doing any other sport. I'll do the other sports offline because I enjoy playing them, but I'm only going to broadcast baseball.
Well, let me tell you, there are two things. So Big Clue is a diehard Cincinnati Reds fan. I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Pirates fan. There's only two things that diehard fans from the Reds and Pirates agree on, and that is death to the Brewers and baseball 365. So good stuff. So we already had a question way back, and I don't know, Bernie, should we hit you with this one? I think we will. So Doug Hunt is asking you which Red Sox team is the greatest of all time? We knew that was going to come at some point, but Doug is jumping in early on that. Who do you think?
In my well,
Well, let's
I
say
think the greatest
in your lifetime. Let's do it as your lifetime.
in my lifetime,
Yep.
there's two answers. Prior to my lifetime, I believe one of those teams 1912, 15, 16, and 18 were probably one of the best base Red Sox teams of all time.
Hmm.
However, in my lifetime, the 2004 team had to be the greatest of all time because they broke an 86-year string.
Hmm. So I don't know if I still got you there. I hope I do.
You do?
Okay, good.
Do
Okay.
you
Oof.
not hear me?
Oh, now I do. Now I do. So I heard that they broke the 86-year string. You know, I find it interesting, and I don't know if we have any Chicago White Sox fans around the community too much, but there was always, of course, the talk of the Red Sox not winning for decades and decades and the Cubs, but yet same thing was happening in the White Sox, and nobody in the baseball world tended to pay attention to that, and I find that interesting that so the White Sox finally win the series in 2005, but when you guys won and when the Cubs won, it was like global news. But when the White Sox won, I was like, yeah, the White Sox won the series. So I always kind of felt bad for White Sox fans in that. But let's stick to this. I like that.
I hear the White Sox only have fans in Chicago. Cubs and the Red Sox have fans all over the world.
And that's true. And what's interesting, of course, with the White Sox were originally in Chicago. Historically, they were actually the favored team before the Cubs. But yeah, I guess through the years, whatever. The Cubs, lovable losers. Not that the White Sox had great, anyhow. So Mike, are you still with us too?
Of course I am.
All right,
I'm just
Mike.
listening.
So,
I'll let Bernie talk. I talked a lot last night. I'll chime in when you need me to, but
well,
it's
need you
fine.
to right now. So, because I'm dealing with two Red Sox fans here, and you guys did beat the Pirates in the very first World Series. So that's because of the damn Tessie song. Mike, for you, who's the greatest Red Sox team of all time?
2004. I mean,
2004.
I think so. I just for what it meant, just for the symbolism and like what it meant and how they did it, how they came back, and just from the Yankees series, it's just like amazing. I mean, the Yankees series was a World Series in itself. I mean, and then they got to win all over again. The next one. So,
All right, so for you, it's
no,
2004.
yeah, it was great. Two World Series basically in one season. It was pretty good.
So we do have a White Sox. It's a while since we've seen Forever Remain 90, but yeah, he is, I think, the only diehard White Sox fan in his community. So yes, we were just obviously, if you've been here, I was just talking about that the White Sox had that terrible long drought, and nobody seemed to notice, which was kind of sad. MV has a question, Bernie, and also then for you, Mike, too, and whatever. But for Bernie, MV says, "I'm curious as he's eating his I think he's going for spotted dick tonight. You said right, Mike, for his snack. British food and its names: toad in a hole, spotted dick. Love it. We Irish laugh all the time." MV asks, "I'm curious, what is the most frustrating Red Sox seasons besides 1986 and 1967 and 1975?" He says those are the obvious ones. So Bernie, so taking those three out, as a Red Sox fan, what would you say are some other seasons that Red Sox fans felt really frustrated?
Before, before I answer that, Carlos Diaz asked a question
Oh, he did.
a few steps up. Well, let me just answer the basketball question. What
Oh,
basketball
sure.
games am I using? I'm
Yeah.
playing Action PC and Stratomatic PC basketball. Now, that's an easy one. The most frustrating Red Sox season was 1972,
Okay.
as they went into Detroit for the 3-game series at the end of the year. They had to win one of the first 2 games to win their division,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost both those first 2 games. They won a third game, of course, but they had to win one of the first 2 games. They lost them both, and they lost to the division, and that still bothers me today. They
Wow.
should have won.
And if there's something about baseball fans, Bernie, it's long memories, right? I mean, I've only ever, and it's our Red Sox fan, only one Red Sox fan I know of that has forgiven Bucky F. Dent. Have you forgiven Mr. Dent?
No.
No. And so it goes, as it should be in baseball. MV saying thank you. Guys, don't, just come out with the questions, please do. This is fun stuff.
The guy I do hate one guy more than I hate Dent, and that's Aaron Boone.
Aaron Boone, please share.
He hit the home run in 2003 off of Wakefield in the famous "I'm not going to take Pedro out of the game."
Oh, so he surpasses Mr. Dent in your
He's worse
loathing.
than Dent.
He's worse than Dent. That's
That's
pretty
right.
bad. That is pretty bad. So yeah, for you guys that didn't hear Mike's announcement, so interestingly enough, Bernie I think also is unique among Red Sox fans in that his second favorite team is the New York Yankees, and I find that amazing. And yes, may Tim Wakefield's memory be eternal. Says Clee Baseball Fan 879, R.I.P. Tim Wakefield. What a loss. So Bernie, share with the community if you would. I know you shared it with me and on smaller chats, but you're a Red Sox fan and the Yankees are your second favorite team. That still twists my mind. It wrecks my head, as the Irish say. It wrecks my head. How does that happen?
Well, it happened in 1962, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I know exactly when it happened. I got my first APA baseball game
Mm-hmm.
that I sent away for in the summer of 1962 with the 1961 season, the one that Dwayne Martz is doing on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I replayed the Red Sox 61 season. I didn't play all the games. I just played the Red Sox games. But we played the Yankees so many times that I got to know as much about the Yankees as I got to know about the Red Sox.
Okay.
And I just liked the team. I could still tell you the starting lineup for the 1961 New York Yankees because of that. They've always had exciting players. I was in Fenway Park one day in 1961 when the Yankees hit 7 home runs off the Red Sox. That bothers me still, too. But Roger Maris hit a home run that day. Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra. I think Bill Skowron hit a home run. I can't remember who else, but they were the superstars, and I just like the Yankees, except when they play the Red Sox.
Except when they play the Red Sox. I mean, there's no denying a great franchise. I'm not a Yankees fan, but I mean, I don't. But again, as a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, I don't hate the Yankees, and there's not that same sort of thing. But it's not that you. I just like that. So it's not that so you would root for the Yankees in a World Series if the Red Sox aren't in it, and I just find that amazing because this is one of the somebody told me it's like this. I guess the oldest rivalry in sports is in college football, and that's University of Michigan and Ohio State. But I guess apparently the oldest. Well, I know the oldest rivalry in baseball is Red Sox Yankees, and I've never met a Red Sox. So now you and Al Red Sox fan um, share something in common, and that you are kind of apart from other Red Sox fan. One forgave Bucky Dent, and the other you your second favorite team, the Bronx Bombers, and that just blows my mind. And so coming from a club like from Pittsburgh, we don't really we were kind of rival. We were rivals with the Reds in the 1970s, but nothing like Red Sox, Yankees, or Giants, Dodgers for that matter. Forever remain 90. By the way, just wanting to rub it in a little bit. He says Bucky Dent came over from the White Sox, so I don't know whether that lessens your opinion of the White Sox or not, but I kind of like that. It was kind of funny. So Bernie, we got to get to Ted Williams. So here's, I mean, superlatives. You know, Ted Williams. Jamie said early in the chat. He said he got to meet Ted Williams. He said that like he could barely speak. It was like he was breathing the same air. And John DFW. We'll talk about baseball Max in a minute. But Bernie, can you talk about Ted Williams a little bit? I mean, to me,
Well,
this is like amazing.
I wish I could tell you that I saw him a lot. He played in the era just before I started to watch a lot of baseball. He retired in 1960. My brother happened to take me to my first baseball game in April of 1960, and I saw Ted Williams hit a home run.
Wow.
What
And
I
that was his
find
final year.
amazing,
Mhm.
as a 9-year-old, I can still the ball. It made such an impression on me. The ball he hit, I can still see the ball flying into the right field grandstand. And I've seen a lot of home runs in person
Mhm.
in Fenway Park, and I don't remember too many of them, but I remember that one.
Wow. That's
And I mean, I really can't say my baseball history goes back to Carl Yastrzemski's rookie year. I know more about Carl Yastrzemski than I know about Ted Williams, but I did see Ted Williams play.
So Carlos is asking for some Yastrzemski stories. So Bernie, the floor is yours.
Well, I'm not sure what I can tell you about Yastrzemski other than the fact that that
Let's talk about. Can we
he
talk about his Triple Crown year? What about that?
sure
Start
it
from there.
seemed like
Start from there.
every time he got up with a runner in scoring position, he knocked him in. If the Red Sox were run or two behind, and there were runners on base, Yastrzemski knocked him in. I have never seen a season where a player took over an entire team like he did. He was just unbelievable. And I think that if he were to tell you, or anybody else who saw that season in person would tell you, that's probably the single greatest season a baseball player's ever had. He did some amazing things that year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that was truly amazing was in the last two games of the season against the Twins, where the Red Sox had to win both those games. He went 7 for 8,
7 for 8.
including actually I'm staring at a lithograph on my wall here of the home run he hit on September 30th, 1967 into the right field grandstands that put the Red Sox ahead by 3 or 4 runs in that game. And that was the loudest roar I've ever heard in my life in a professional stadium anywhere.
Wow.
When he hit that home run. It was unbelievable. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but that game, that was an interesting game. That game is the oldest full game in color preserved on videotape that's in existence today. And a few years, or maybe 10 years ago or so, they came out with the videotape. I was sitting 6 rows behind home plate.
Oh, how
in
cool
that
is
game.
that? How cool is that? Wow.
And I can see myself sitting in Fenway Park in that game. Now it's really blurry because it's, taken from 1967 technology, but I know I can spot myself because I know the seat I was in. And
That's amazing.
I find that fascinating that I will always be part of Red Sox history. No one will remember, but I will always know I will appear on that tape forever.
There's 21 people here that will remember now. So that's awesome. Carlos says here that he says he likes the story from Nolan Ryan. And I guess apparently, and Nolan Ryan said that he had never seen somebody able to turn on a fastball at 40 years old like Yastrzemski.
Oh, he was he in the winter of 1966 he did a strengthening program. He worked out with some personal trainer, and between 66 and 67 he came back a different baseball player. He had the fastest bat I've ever seen. I'll never forget in the 1978 playoff game, which they lost to the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
He turned on a Ron Guidry fastball. Ron Guidry, a left-handed batter,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulled a home run down the right field line. Who knows how? I don't know how he got around so fast on it, but he was quick.
Yeah, I've heard that about him. But what I'm curious, Bernie, is of course, the old wisdom was, big bats, right? And I just saw a recent YouTube video where there's some baseball players. I guess these bats were brought to some special function. A bat used by Hannes Wagner and one used by Babe Ruth. Notoriously heavy bats. So was Yastrzemski, was he kind of, because I mean Ken Griffey Jr. kind of and right the '90s players, right, saying no, it's really more about speed. So was Yastrzemski, was he like one of the guys that sort of I don't know, did he swing a big bat or what? I'm just curious
No,
about
no,
that.
he was he was in the group of players that swung a light bat.
Okay, so Yastrzemski understood the speed through the strike zone, because I mean, what All Star game was it? And they brought one of Babe Ruth's bats to from Cooperstown to the All Star game, and it was amazing how many of these players could barely pick the thing up and try to get in there. Like, how did he even swing this thing? So, but yeah, Yastrzemski. I mean, what a great player! And somebody said here he had big shoes to fill, and he certainly did. Following Ted Williams can't be an easy act, right?
No, in fact, he had a lot of trouble. The press was on him all the time. If he wasn't as good as Ted Williams, and I don't think he ever claimed to be as good as Ted Williams.
Few are,
and
pure hitters, right?
And as a rookie, he hit 266, and then in his second year, he hit 296, and then his third year, he won the batting title, hit 321, but never had much power. I think he hit 19 home runs one of those years, and he was a good hitter, but he just wasn't a great hitter. And then 1967 showed up, and it was like a different guy. And he had power from that point on. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was the first player in the American League to have 400 home runs and 3,000 hits. No one else had ever done that.
That's an amazing thing. As Carlos says, and I think that that this is true. He feels that Yastrzemski was a better fielder than Ted Williams. My understanding of Ted Williams is he was really concerned with hitting. That was his thing. And people have said, and not only from the Ken Burns baseball documentary, but I've read elsewhere that Williams would sometimes be just standing out there in the field, kind of practicing his swing during a game in the outfield.
Yeah, Williams could care less about fielding. As a matter of fact, he didn't even try half the time.
I imagine Ted Williams would have loved the DH then, if they would have had it in his playing time, right?
I'm sure he would have. Yastrzemski, however, was a great fielder.
Yes.
And probably the best left fielder in my lifetime at Fenway Park.
Wow.
He was just incredible. He'd throw runners out everywhere. Of course, the most famous catch he has is on video. I'm sure you've seen it. I don't know if you paid attention to it, not being a Red Sox fan, but in April of 1967, a young left-hand pitcher by the name of Billy Roy was throwing a no-hitter in Yankee Stadium, and he had pitched 8 2/3 innings of no-hit ball, or 8 1/3 innings at this time of no-hit ball, and someone hit a fly ball into left field in Yankee Stadium. Left field in Yankee Stadium is pretty deep. Yastrzemski went back on it. You can find this catch on YouTube. And he left his feet, caught the ball when it's already over his head, when he's in the air. Wow. He wasn't anywhere near the ground when he caught the ball to save the no-hitter. The next batter up was Elston Howard. He singled, and Roy didn't get his no-hitter, but it was the best catch I've ever seen.
Great story. we keep returning somehow to 1967. Um, so to me, I mean, again, I'm not, being a baseball fan, so I don't have obviously that knowledge of the Red Sox, but 1967 really stands out as maybe for a team probably, and I'm saying probably, others will disagree certainly, but in my mind, for every team in baseball, right, in history, that had to be the most frustrating season. You had great ups and downs, and that's why they're the impossible dream team, what have you. Maybe we could talk a little bit more about that '67 season because there were many pivotal moments in that one. You know,
Well, they got it. Baseball is obviously has been called the game of inches, and
hmm
the Red Sox got every break known to mankind in 1970. If the ball bounced, it bounced in their direction.
hmm
They were behind 8-0 in a game to the Orioles or the White Sox. I don't really remember. It was the second game of a doubleheader. They're behind 8-0 in the fifth inning. They end up winning the game 9-8. I was at the game after Tony Canigliaro was hit by the pitch in 1967
I was
against
going to
the
get to
Angels.
that. I thought we would ease into that one, but yeah, please go ahead.
The game after that, the Red Sox won that game 12-11. Uh, Norm Seaburn, who couldn't hit a lick by the time the Red Sox had him,
hmm
pinch hit a triple to knock in the winning runs in that game. If they could possibly have any more luck, I wouldn't know how they could possibly have gotten it. The ball just dropped in when it was supposed to drop in. They got home runs when they're supposed to get home runs, and it just seemed to me that year was destined to be a Red Sox season.
hmm
A Big Clue asked, why did they move Yastrzemski to first base? They moved Yastrzemski to first base because Jim Rice came along.
Be a pretty good
and
reason. Pretty good reason. Jim Rice, one of my
yeah,
favorite Red Sox. I don't. Yeah, always liked him. Always liked Jim Rice.
Jim Rice, Jim Rice, we talked about triples in today's YouTube broadcast. Jim Rice, I'll
hmm
never forget. The year he hit 46 home runs, he also hit 15 triples. It's hard to believe a guy can do that.
Oh, especially now in 2023 baseball, it's unimaginable, really.
Sports Time Machines asking, does Boston win the 75 series if Rice is active?
Ooh, good
Who
question.
knows? All I know is about the 75 series. It's all a blur except for Bernie Carbo's home run, Carlton Fisk's home run, and Joe Morgan's bloop single into right field in the ninth inning of the seventh game. I can't believe it. A series that had such dramatic finishes in games had a bloop single win the World Series.
Just amazing stuff. So Jamie said here, maybe you can. Jamie says he read that fans would tease Ted Williams that he needed to give half his pay to Dom DiMaggio. Is that apocryphal or is that something? No, again, this was, I guess we're talking about the 19, maybe even before you were, but is that something that you picked up around? Was there?
That's before my time. I had never heard that.
And that's really interesting. Have to delve into that. And by the way, guys, I just a quick commercial break here for SGJ Jamie Sports Gaming Journal. Check out his work, guys. It's absolutely splendid. So on with the show. I mean, figure we got to get to this at some point. I believe you said you were at the Canigliaro game. Is that correct?
I was sitting in the bleachers, and the ball hit his face, and I could hear the thud in the center field bleachers 500 feet away. That's how hard it hit him.
I just can't imagine.
And of course, everybody thought the season was over when Yastrzemski was hit, when Canigliaro got hit.
Mm-hmm.
But Yastrzemski seemed to pick it up after Canigliaro got hit, and he was even better the last month of the season than I don't know what he batted the last month of the season, but it was going to be out of this world. I'm sure we could look it up. But Canigliaro was my favorite Red Sox player because he was close to my age. He was a teenager in 1963. I was 12 years old, so I was close to being a teenager. And he was from the Boston area, and he was quite a player.
That had to be devastating that day. I think I know you mentioned in a chat that it was just dead silent at the park when that happened.
Oh yeah, the park went. You could hear a pin drop in Fenway Park after he was hit in the head.
Terrifying. But I mean, Canigliaro. I mean, I guess that was bad. I mean, I know that some people have attributed later health problems in life to that terrible day. But so for many Red Sox fans, right, thinking that the season was over, and yet you talk about a great Yaz story for Yastrzemski to pick it up after that. And I do know enough to know that Canigliaro was beloved in Boston, so that had to have been. I can't even imagine that. Again, something like that really never happened in Pirates history. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody, not even the teams that I dislike, even the Brewers. But Bernie, I'm going to ask you a big Red Sox question here. All right.
What's that?
So God, he's going to reach down to you, Bernie, right? Hypothetically here, of course, and he's going to give you power to change one moment, one in any season in Red Sox history, but only one. What would it be?
I would have walked Bucky Dent.
it just continues. I love it. Bernie would have walked Bucky Dent. Love it. Mike, are you still on here? No, I think he's.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Mike, you have the same power. All right, God's given you the same power. You can change one moment in Red Sox history. What would it be for you?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tough now because I feel so spoiled lately. In the last 20 years or so with all the 4 championships. So, I don't know. I mean, could easily be 86, like the Buckner play. Maybe put Stapleton in, probably. But I don't know. If I feel like if that happened and if I won the World Series and I was 10 years old, I would have been. I don't think I would have grew up the same. I would have been probably more entitled or whatever, So maybe that wouldn't be a good idea. So but I mean that's probably what I would say though. I mean, if I was.
So I like the perspectives from both of you because you didn't deal with the decades of frustration that Bernie did, right? I mean, so
I had some.
Some.
I had about two decades.
Yeah, but I mean, there's that, so 1967, Mike, you're not even born yet. 1967.
78,
right?
I was 2.
Right. So there you go. So 67 too was before you were a glint in the eye. So, all right. So Bernie's saying that it's he would have walked Dent and Bill Buckner. Poor Bill Buckner. May his memory be eternal as well. Ken Castro says Boston fans spoiled. Say it ain't so. So Ken, New Englander whose favorite team is the Philadelphia Phillies. Love it. So here's something to comment on, guys. Just anybody. Heads Upton says that Dom DiMaggio was a sensational defensive center fielder, better than Joe DiMaggio defensively. I've heard some people argue that about Dom. Just wondering what you guys or anybody in the fan or in the chat too. What do you think about that assessment about Dom versus the Yankee Clipper? Vince certainly was kind of like he was the third wheel, and I guess that's why he was a Pirate, so everybody can laugh now. But Vince was good enough to make it to the majors, right? Anyhow, while we think about that question, so Bernie, I got to ask you, right? So you're waiting all those years. Tell me about 2004. Tell me about that. What you were feeling, right? I mean, did you believe it was going to happen? Was it going to happen? I got to hear that from you because you went through the crazy ups and downs, and you had Yastrzemski doing amazing things in '67. You had Canigliaro. That was really a season of heartbreak, and then 2004 comes along, right? So, can you talk about 2004 a little bit?
The Red Sox had a good team in 2004. they actually had a good team in 2003 also. In 2004, they had a really good team. And, I don't really remember too much about the season, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what I do remember, of course, is the championship series against the Yankees, when obviously they're down 3 games to none. And you're gonna think I'm nuts, but I think it was it the third game in that series, the Yankees beat the Red Sox like 19-8 or something,
Yep.
19-7.
Yep. That's right. 19-8.
And I looked at my wife as we were sitting on the couch watching that game, and I said, the Yankees had this series in the bag. They just they just pissed off the Red Sox. They embarrassed them on national television by scoring 19 runs. We had Pedro Martinez and Chuck Schilling and that shows you how old I am, and Kurt Schilling pitching
Mm-hmm.
after that game. I said to my wife, "We're going to win this series," because they just woke the Red Sox up. The Red Sox were asleep the first 3 games. I have no idea how they played that bad. But I think the Yankees woke them up after the third game. And obviously, history proved it to be correct. Not only did they win the Martinez and Schilling game, but in the seventh game was over in the second inning, if I seem to remember. And and I don't think the Cardinals had a chance. The Red Sox were on such a roll after coming back from 3 games down in that series that I watched the World Series almost expecting them to win,
Wow.
and that's what I remember.
I really wasn't expecting that answer. And that's why I had to ask the question. So you kind of caught me off guard there because
I have a very different view on that.
go ahead, Mike, please.
Well, I was at a wedding the day they lost 19-8, and I was at this wedding, we're at the reception, and we kept getting updates from the DJ, the score.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and it was not good, right? I mean, everybody was just like pissed off about it. Like, it was like terrible score, every time the Yankees would score like 5 runs or whatever. Anyway, so there's no way I thought they were going to win. I was like, no freaking way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it wasn't a very easy road until we got to New York. The next 2 games in Boston were so nerve wracking. The extra inning game, when the game 4, Mo Vaughn, Ortiz hit the walk off home run,
Mm-hmm.
and then game 5 was down to the wire too. And I don't know if it was game 4 or 5, but Tim Wakefield came in relief one game. It was like the most nerve wracking inning I've ever experienced in my life. Because Veritek was catching him, and he couldn't. I think he let 3 pass balls go by in that one inning. And the guy was on third base, and if if one more pass ball, they would have given up the lead. And it was like the 10th inning or the 11th inning or something. It was just so bad, but they ended up striking out. I forget who it was. It was like so yeah, but and then when they got to New York, it's like almost like that's when like they just started to kick some ass, and they just like it really wasn't. The games weren't too close anyway, so. But that's just my recollection. I don't remember saying to myself that they were going to win. Like I definitely thought they were going to get they were done. I was like at that point it was like dejection. After game 3, I was just like dejected. I was like, all right. So yeah.
No, go on, please. Go ahead, Mike.
No, that's it. I mean, and, that's the rest is history after that. So I mean, the only other thing about 2004 I remember that sticks out to me is that they traded Nomar, and
Used to love to watch Nomar bat. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
I was
Oh, he
waiting.
was a great
I
player.
always wait for like some sort of otherworldly being to appear with his ritual between every pitch, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he should have been some sort of spokesperson for batting gloves or something. It was insane to watch Garcia Parra. I loved it, and of course now with all the crazy rule changes today, poor Nomar. Wow.
Yeah. No, he was good, and that's the thing. The thing was like the big argument then was like, oh, who's better, Garcia Parra or Jeter, right? That was always like the big argument. Of course, Boston fans thought Nomar was the better, and I think he was better shortstop in general. But I mean, it's just like but yeah, that was when before we won anything, we were all yelling Yankees suck at everything, like we had this inferiority complex. Now it's like after that it was just like it was such a change in mentality for Red Sox fans.
Well, welcome in RJO Network, yet another excellent channel to check out. And so everybody say hi to Robert. And Robert always has a thing when I go into his chat or he goes into mine. He quotes a Beatles song, and indeed it counts. This one, yeah, there we go. Dream Away, George Harrison. It definitely counts. Good to see you, Robert. Everybody waiting for the start of the 1972 season in January. I can't wait. I finally voted on a season. And it's going to be the one, or finally one that I voted on is going to be played. So it's going to be great to see 1972. Hope to see a lot of Pittsburgh Pirates on there. Hint, hint, Robert, the great Roberto Clemente's final year.
And I also hope the 1972 season ends in Detroit with a Red Sox victory.
Well, we will find out. And Ken, of course, Ken's saying 1872. So Big Clue has a question. He says, question of Red Sox Bernie has seen. So, Bernie, you get a chance to put together a team. What is your all-time team? So, all the Red Sox you've seen in your lifetime, let's say you're just to create just a starting lineup. So, we'll keep you from 25 players. So, starting lineup, DH.
Well, let me go around the infield. It's easier to do it that way. Third base would be Wade Boggs.
Okay.
Shortstop would be Nomar Garciaparra.
Mm-hmm.
Second baseman would be Pedroia. First baseman. Here's a good question.
Okay.
He didn't play very many years, but I loved Mo Vaughn.
Yeah, I was going to say Mo Vaughn, but I don't think he was the best one. But
he was my favorite. Boy, he could hit.
Yep.
Yes, he could. Mo Vaughn could hit.
Just an opposing player.
I'm saying Mo Vaughn because I'm going to use Ortiz for my designated hitter. I believe Veritek is my favorite, would be my all-time catcher for the Red Sox.
Over Fisk.
I think Veritek. I think Veritek was a better all-around player, and Veritek's strength was handling a pitching staff. Mm-hmm. He's the only catcher I'm aware of that has caught 4 no-hitters in the major leagues.
Wow. Okay.
I love Fisk, but I think Veritek, I would take him over Carlton Fisk. Right. And, of course, in left field, there was Yastrzemski in center field. Mm-hmm. My favorite center fielder would be Fred Lynn with the Red Sox.
Okay.
And in right field, it'd be Tony Conigliaro. And my favorite starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox would be Pedro Martinez.
Yeah.
Hell of a team. We should put that together and do a little exhibition against, maybe we can get Sports Time Machine to do the same with the Yankees, and let's have a clash some night on the channel between your all-time players you've seen of the Red Sox and Mike of the Yankees. And
I have two. I'm gonna mention 2 relief pitchers though that are tied.
Okay.
Dick Raditz and Jonathan Papelbon.
Monster.
Oh yeah. So Raditz I really don't know much about, but I do remember Jonathan Papelbon. Definitely remember him. So.
Well, Raditz was the Jonathan Papelbon in his time.
Okay.
With one difference, Papelbon would come in and pitch 1 inning. Raditz would come in and pitch 3.
Mm-hmm. Different ball game. So,
speaking of Mo Vaughn, if anybody wants to check out a cool video, there's a video in George Bell I think he was on Toronto at the time, maybe in the White Sox. I don't know if he was on the White Sox, but anyway, he charged the mound against some pitcher, and Mo Vaughn before he got to the mound. Mo Vaughn from first base took off and just friggin', I don't know, trucked him like he was like a football player. You know what I mean? You should try to Google George Bell like charging mound, and you see Mo Vaughn just levels him. It's amazing. Great video.
So Bernie, let's expand the question now, because you've gotten more interested in the dead ball era. So let's say if you were to expand your all-time Red Sox fans teams to 3 more players, and you could go, from dead ball up to your lifetime. So right before your lifetime, would there be any dead ball players you would add to that team?
Yeah, I'd put Tris Speaker in center field instead of Fred Lynn.
There you go, the Gray Eagle. Yep.
Uh,
What about your pit? Would you add Babe Ruth to your pitching staff?
well, I don't see how you could. Of course, you'd have to add Babe Ruth. I think, depending on the length of the career, I'd put Smokey Joe Wood in the pitching staff.
There you
The
go.
the Red Sox dead ball teams are absolutely stacked. They were great teams,
Yes.
and they could pitch, they could field, they could run, they could hit. They were the New York Yankees before the New York Yankees were the New York Yankees.
Well, Harry Hooper, one of the Red Sox great, bemoaned the fact that the great Yankees teams of the 20s were the Red Sox teams of the 19 teens, and there's definitely some truth in Harry Hooper's assessment.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame player too. He's probably a better outfielder than Tony Canigliaro, but
Right.
I'd have to put him in right field too. So, as a matter of fact, that outfield of the Red Sox in the teens, Lewis, Speaker, and Hooper could have been the best outfield in the history of baseball.
It's definitely a great outfield and a strong team, and the teams that they played against. I mean, 1912 World Series. I mean, the New York Giants were nasty strong team too. But I'm just curious because with your kind of newfound love of deadball, which makes me endlessly happy. You have no idea, guys. You're invoking some more Red Sox here. So Cy Young, Luis Tiant. So would either of those legends make it onto your squad, Bernie?
Well, I'm going to tell you that, like MV, I'm mad at Cy Young because he was on my team,
All
and
right.
and Cy Young didn't pitch very well. So we're going to leave Cy Young out of it. Cy Young
Okay.
record speaks for itself.
And Big Clue's
Anything,
loving that.
any opinion that I have about Cy Young is irrelevant compared to his statistics.
Okay.
And who was the other? Louis Tiant. Louis
Tiant.
Tiant was really good,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't as good as Pedro Martinez, or he wasn't as good as Roger Clemens. He wasn't as good as Jim Lomborg was in 1967, that one year. But Tiant was a good pitcher, and
Lomborg had a hell
Tiant
of a
could,
year, didn't he?
yeah, and Tiant could throw 150, 170 pitches in a game, and come back 3 days later and pitch.
Jamie's asking here. This would be a fun game to do. So he says 1912 Smokey Joe Wood versus 2000 Pedro Martinez? Question mark. So what do you think?
I think it'd be a tie.
Ooh, nice one. Okay. I always think about Smokey Joe Wooden if he had not injured his pitching hand. I think definitely Hall of Fame. As Walter Johnson said, nobody threw harder than Smokey Joe Wood. Reinvented himself into a really an excellent position player. But so a tie, and I would say that's a great compliment to Smokey Joe Wood. Pedro, of course, one of the greatest of all times. So curiously, you didn't mention Roger Clemens. Dan Burke brings up. He says, "Agree. Pedro and Clemens were better." I guess we're talking about in comparison to. But so the omission of Clemens, is that on purpose or just kind of
No,
curious?
Clemens. I like Clemens. Clemens
Hmm.
had some great years with the Red Sox, but Clemens also had some pretty bad years with the Red Sox. And it's hard for me to get out of my head that he was a 500 pitcher for 2 or 3 years
Hmm.
before he went to Toronto, and all of a sudden he becomes Cy Young.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think the evidence is pretty clear. He did steroids,
Yeah.
and well, I could do steroids and I'd never be able to pitch. But I believe his advantage was not real, and it's. I don't understand why Clemens and Bonds did steroids. They both would have made the Hall of Fame without them.
Bonds
I don't.
definitely. I mean, watching Bonds in Pittsburgh, and it was just amazing. He was a five-tool player. Bonds was. People forget he's the all-time home run king, Bonds could steal bases. He could unnerve pitchers. So I agree with you about Barry Bonds and certainly Roger Clemens. Why did they do it? Yeah, anybody, do you? I
Well, they
doubt
did it because everybody did it.
because everybody was doing it, right? But yeah, I mean, those two would have definitely been Hall of Fame, and I think they will be eventually. They'll certainly they'll get in before Shoeless Joe Jackson.
I don't think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see those as long as the players in the Veterans Committee are alive. The current set of players, you'll never see those guys in.
No, I agree with that, but I do think
They may be in 50 years when those guys are dead, and there's another set of players
right
that are voting in the Veterans Committee. But I won't see them in my lifetime.
We got some more questions for you here. So Big Clue has a good one here. He says, name 5 Red Sox who aren't in the Hall of Fame now but belong there.
Well, my favorite is Dwight Evans.
Okay, so Dewey.
5 Red Sox players that aren't in the Hall of Fame
that you feel belong there. Yeah.
Well, quite frankly, I'm only going to mention the ones I've seen myself.
Oh, sure.
Because that's a tough question to come up with 5 of them. I think Louis Tiant belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with Tiant. I'm surprised he's not in. So Carlos Yaz mentioning Bill Buckner. He was close to 3,000 hits. What do you think about Buckner?
I think Buckner belongs in the Hall of Fame too. Buckner has some really weird statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Buckner, what did Buckner's played his whole entire career? However, I don't know how many at bats he had. He never struck out 3 times in a game.
Interesting stat.
Buckner was a great hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would go with Buckner in the Hall of Fame, and of course, with Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame, there could be 10 Red Sox players in the Hall of Fame.
Harold. So we tried to give Harold a break on this because Bernie, you've been hanging around our family here, and Baines gets a lot of guff. He's in the Hall of Fame, and I think he only has 1 bit of black ink if you look on Baseball Reference. So yeah, I think the chat. Of course, somebody mentioned earlier in the chat. Buckner, I think it was Carlos actually saying that, he wishes that Buckner could have gotten his glove down in the 86 series and not have to live with that. But you know what? That's baseball though. You talk about, we talked about long memories, and, that happened twice to the New York Giants with Fred Merkle and Fred Snodgrass. When Fred Snodgrass died, decades and decades later, successful banker, the whole thing, he was the man who muffed the ball in the 1912 series. And I think Snodgrass died in 1986 or something. I don't know, some like decades and decades after. So poor Bill Buckner. But that's baseball's long memory. And Bernie talking about being at these games. And again, I do want to kind of return to that. So, we talked about, Bernie, about, when you're replaying these games, and doing these Red Sox games. So, and I know that you do as played, the as played schedules and things like that. So, do you find yourself, if you knew that was so it was a game that you were at, and the Red Sox had lost that game, do you find yourself not only just playing the game but trying to, let's say, repair maybe some managerial mistakes that you might have seen in that game? Do you find you're managing changes with games that you actually saw? Is, I guess, my question.
No, I don't think so. The only thing I did was in the 67 replay I had Canigliaro play throughout the year. I didn't have him injured.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't sign Harrelson. So I made that change. These individual games are so different that they're not the same games that were played in the real season.
True.
But I do want to tell you that it was the 2003 American League Championship Series, and it was Game 7, and Pedro Martinez had thrown 100 pitches, I would have removed him. Okay. Something that our friend Jimmy Williams didn't do, and the Red Sox should have been in the 2003 World Series also.
Grady Little, man, not Jimmy Williams,
Grady Little,
not Jimmy
right,
Worthy.
right, Grady Little. Well, Jimmy Williams and Grady Little, they were sort of the same.
They were, they were.
So
They were
Little
very much
bumpkins.
alike.
Little bumpkins.
So the consensus in the chat largely seems to be that McNamara probably the worst Red Sox manager. How do you feel about that? About John McNamara?
I don't know. He won 18 games in a row. 88. No, I wouldn't think. In my lifetime, the worst Red Sox manager was probably Pinky Higgins.
Pinky Higgins.
Can I just say something about McNamara?
Oh, please.
Sure.
Only because I feel like I'm an authority because I'm like 3/4 of the way through my 86 full season replay.
Sure, Mike.
From a lineup standpoint, he almost never changed his starting lineup. He used the exact same lineup almost as much as he could almost the whole year so far. Always like Barrett, Boggs, Buckner, Price, Baylor, Gedman, Amos, and I can rattle it off because I'm so familiar with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm like every other team playing every other team in this league. They always adjusted their lineups for lefties, righties. You could see like the stuff, the as played lineups.
Mm-hmm.
McNamara did nothing, but somehow he ended up going to the World Series. I don't understand. I mean, I don't know. Then again, that Red Sox team was to me was one of the least deep teams in the league. Like they had no bench. They had like Stapleton, Romero, all these guys that were the scrubs. I don't even know how they went to the World Series just with that starting. That all they had with those starters. You know what I mean? So it was kind of nuts.
Sports Time Machine Mike is asking you what sim you're using for your replay.
Oh, I use as I've mentioned before a few times. I'm using a bunch, but primarily it's Payoff Pitch. But I'm using APA, Payoff Pitch. I started out with Strat, but I stopped using that because I decided I wanted all the plays carded. And then, then I'm also using Action PC. I'm using OTP. I used Pocket Pennant Run for a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
I actually used Back to Basics Baseball for 1 day of games, but I didn't really like the results. I posted them in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of did a little analysis for after 1 whole day of games. Like very little offense, way too many doubles, like twice as like 3 times as many doubles as singles. It's like ridiculous. So anyway, but that's a whole list of sims I'm using, but mostly it's Payoff Pitch. Like I love Payoff Pitch. And I have such a good system. I can do the games. I did 2 games during your 1 game today. Was it today or yesterday? I can't remember. It's all a blur. But I rolled 2 games while I was listening to you do that 1 game with the pitch by pitch game. So I have a good system for that. But yeah,
you're finally getting the jam on this channel that the game is incidental. So
I know.
But no,
But anyway,
I enjoy the ribbing, man. It was fun. It was really, really fun.
No, yeah.
So going along with that, Mike, Sports Time Machine Mike is asking. He said, where'd it go? Yeah. Why is that 86 Boston team so hard for simmers to win play? I think he means to. I'm trying to suss that out. Mike is a fast typer, so.
I can't win with that 86 team. I've played it for years. I can't seem to get them in the first place.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think that team was so. I'm not saying overrated, but I don't think they belonged in that World Series. I think they just hit lightning, put lightning in a bottle. I mean, my sim right now. I'm looking at my standings right now. The Red Sox are third to last place. They're 50 and 55, and I mean, they're at the bottom for a little while. They just can't win. I don't know what it is, but I don't worry about it too much because I'm playing the whole league. But you're right though. It's crazy. It's just for some reason they can't put it together.
Yet in real life, they were 1 pitch away from world championship.
Yeah. It's amazing, and they should have won that series. And the Mets were a much better team than them. Top to bottom. You know what I mean? Like the Mets, for instance, had such a better bench. They had like Mitchell, Backman, Tuffle. They had all these guys. Danny Heat. You could rattle them off. The Red Sox had scrubs. Mark Sullivan at catcher. I mean, come on. It was their backup catcher. The guy was terrible. Stapleton. I can go on and on about it, but yeah, I can't. It's funny because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the Red Sox they suck, and when they're playing out the games.
I'd be curious if Robert is here and his would he call that '86 Mets team one of the best, if not the
Oh,
best,
he already said
teams of all
so.
time?
When Robert was playing, I think it was the night he was playing Strat.
Hmm.
He was playing the Red Sox and Mets game, and he was like all about that Mets team being the best World Series team ever. He said.
Wow. Okay, I missed that. My work schedule now. I'm
I
trying
don't
to
agree with
play
that, but
catch up
I
with all
mean
you guys. You don't agree with that? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I
Oh
don't,
no, please.
you don't come from one pitch from losing the World Series to an inferior team, and you can't be calling them the greatest World Series. I would put the 2018 Red Sox again above them. The 2018 Red Sox were a wagon. They
Hmm.
steamrolled from beginning to finish basically. So
So we got to welcome in Clinton Parks, who I'd love to get on here and share some baseball memories with sometime. And so he's saying what he's doing right now is, and this going to this next topic. Um, so Clinton says he's playing 1960, 70, 80 with a splash of, for me and for many, the greatest season of all time in baseball, 1908. So I wanted to talk about because I watched baseball replay gamer did a with Tebow. They did a podcast or YouTube video talking about project completion. And Bernie, I wanted to kind of hit you with this first because you're
I
doing
saw
so
that
many.
also.
How do you, yeah? So how do you manage your because I mean they were focusing on cards and dice, but I would argue that even doing a digital replay is I mean it's a lot of work. It really is. I'm just wondering how do you handle because you're doing multiple projects simultaneously. So just as
I
a
do up
segue
to
from that.
I do up to 10 replays at a time.
Jeez.
And obviously I couldn't do them with cards and dice. I can't even envision doing a season replay with cards and dice. Uh not to now I can see what doing one team and then simming the rest using digital diamond or something like that. But Tebow plays all the games himself. I
Mm-hmm.
did a survey. I did a poll, or I asked a survey question on Digital to Dice Facebook page. Uh, I asked that specific question: how long did it take cards and dice players to the people that play the entire season out? How long does it take them to finish? And the answer was anywhere from 2 years to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I'm not
You
surprised.
know, why would I give up 10 years of my life to play one season?
And that's something they addressed on that broadcast today, which was interesting because what he was joking about, there was a friend of his that was because he only played like he could only like roll up one game a week or something just because of his kind of personal thing, and he said, "Yeah, if you do, that's going to take you till you're 80." And Ken
yeah,
talks about his pet peeve and
that was a
when
great.
finishes
Yeah.
projects, and it's tough. I mean, I've got to even say that too. I try to stay on top of things now with the channel. Obviously, I have a lot of things going on, but the stuff I play offline, I do try to. I do want to finish, but you know what? Those guys talked about it. It is a marathon. It really is. I don't care whether you're
Well,
playing digital or
here's what
cards or
I
dice.
do. I play the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Today is November 18th. Whatever games are played on November 18th, I play them. If I look at the 10 replays I'm doing, whatever games are on November 19th, I play those games today.
Wow.
November 19th, I'll play those games. When I go on vacation, like I just did for a week,
Mm-hmm.
I may not play all. When I get back, I may not play them all when I'm on vacation. I may sim 2 or 3 or 4 games to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
But but what I'll do is I'll play the games on the dates they were played. Now that's what's tough about playing the 1914 series. I'm playing May 18th on November 18th, but I'm still trying to do it with that too. And that's how I complete them all. So I do complete them all because I play them on the dates that they were originally played.
So you guys are aware of that, Ken? I think Ken Castro had told me about this guy, and I found out about him. Apparently this guy rolls up so many games it's like over a number of years, and he actually has compiled 1,000-page encyclopedia. He uses no helpers, right? No companions, no digital diamond baseball. That's just I'm trying to remember how many games this guy rolls up a day, but it's I mean he does thousands of games, and it's cards and dice. I can't wrap my head around that at all. That erects me head, as we would say. But project management's a tough one, because you go into it. So I mean, McGreevy was fun because that was a community effort, and as the spin-off of that, the Shanks League has been, that's sort of all of us doing one. But I will admit that the whole project thing, and you're telling me, that you're doing all these, simultaneously. It does. It blows my mind. It's like, do you ever find yourself like getting a little bit fatigued? I mean, because we love this hobby, but even as much as you love any hobby, sometimes it can be like, all right, does it ever feel like work for you, Bernie?
Yeah, on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember, I'm retired.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do this when I was working. As a matter of fact, I hardly played at all when I was working.
Mm-hmm.
But I retired about the same. COVID sort of retired me because I was in the insurance business,
Okay.
and you couldn't leave the house,
Right.
and all the agents I had working for me couldn't go on appointments, so my career was over. Fortunately for me, I was over 40 years into my career when it ended. So I didn't retire voluntarily, but I sort of was retired. And I can't tell you how much fun I've been having playing these games since COVID.
Oh, believe me, many of us are
It,
jealous of you and Ken Castro, because Ken will say, "Yep, gonna get up and
uh,
roll some games today," and he's close to 700 this season so far. So we're jealous.
I get up in the morning. I get up early, so I'm up at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm down sitting there in my office. I've played 4 or 5 games by 9 a.m.
Wow.
because there's nobody up in my house. I'm having a great time. And you mentioned that recently on your broadcast that you want to get back into cards and dice. I enjoy
Just for
playing
fun,
cards
yeah.
and dice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, I play cards and dice for relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to take a day and really relax and crack a beer open and set up the game on the table and sit there and play it, to me that's a nice relaxing afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think I'm weird. I take these replays seriously. I really want to win the pennant with the
I believe that.
1914 Red Sox.
I
So
believe that.
I don't treat it as a game. I take these very seriously, and when I lose, it pisses me off.
One thing I've got to thank you
So
for. Oh, please go ahead, Bernie. Then I just want to thank you for something, but go ahead, and then I'll add in.
I was just saying. So I don't think I could go back to cards and dice because I don't. It's sort of like I don't take cards and dice seriously. If I want to go somewhere, I get in my car and drive there. If I wanted to go back in time and enjoy the ride, I'd get on a horse. Cars and dice is like riding a horse in the automobile era. That's just I know there's lots of people that love cards and dice and swear by it, and I think that's great because we all should play what makes us happy.
Exactly.
But uh, like I said, I enjoy cards and dice, but to me, playing on the computer just makes the game easier to play,
Mhm.
easier to do the statistics, and it's more organized in my head, I guess is the best way to put it. Plus, I don't have to have all the storage for the cards.
Good point. Let me bring over this guy. Thank you, cousin Ken, for that. So bring this up on the main screen. You guys will see it here in a second. The gentleman we're talking about. Before we get into that, Bernie, I wanted to first say that I mean, you started this back in April, broadcasting, and not only are you doing an amazing job and bringing in Deadball, but I want to thank you personally, just because for me, growing up the way I did and stuff like that, baseball for me was an escape, which is one of the reasons why I love it. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but growing up was not fun. Um, but I always looked, always looking for somebody, that, I remember through my childhood and stuff like that, through those turbulent years, that I could look up to, talk baseball with, and you're that person, man. And I'm so glad that somehow, again, thanks to Budden back there that made you way back a baseball fan, that finally have just the privilege of getting to know you. And I hope that You'll make our convention next year in Kansas City because we are going to do it. But I wanted to thank you for something else. That you've kind of adopted the thing that I've been doing is spotlighting a player, and every time you do it, it makes me really happy. Not because it's something that I started, but because now there's another channel where these players' memories are being, and as I said today in your game, you do it with class, and I really appreciate that you're doing it because these players, ever since that YouTube channel completely discounted the dead ball era out of hand, that's one of the things that really pushed me to want to talk about these players, whether they're Hall of Famers or not. So thank you for also, um, doing that on their behalf, if I may be so bold, because they do deserve to be remembered and not to be tossed out of hand because they played before Babe Ruth or something. So thanks, Bernie.
You're
Good
welcome.
stuff.
It's quite frankly, it's I'm learning it for the first at 72 years old. I'm learning about these players for the first time. These players have been around my whole lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I could have learned about them when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. And I'm glad I'm learning about them now because it would be a shame. Yeah, I don't really think you can be a real baseball fan without understanding the entire history of baseball, not just what you've witnessed yourself.
Mm-hmm. So this is what we have here on screen. Ken, we can open it while we're here. So this is the gentleman that we're talking about, and this guy, this is insane. So everything, I'm going to be scrolling down the page slowly to give you guys an idea of the seasons that he's done. So we're starting back in 1908. Then he did what, 1923 Negro Leagues, 1930, 1934, 41, 44. This is crazy. And he has stories, final stats, standings for everything that he's rolled, cards and dice, no companions. Can you imagine it, Bernie? I mean, I can't. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, this just goes on and on and on. And he has a replay baseball encyclopedia, which Ken would like me to open up, and we will. What do you? I mean, so he says here at the end of each season replay, I published an encyclopedia that includes all the records from his projects. There's a section of season by season recaps in style of the old Neft and Cohen baseball encyclopedias, which I love those. By the way, those are excellent for setting up all kinds of projects. There's a section of leaderboards, both single season records, career leaders. Lastly, the bulk of the book contains each player's season by season stats in the format of Total Baseball, the old Macmillan encyclopedias. This whole thing is silly because the records only reflect the odd lot of seasons I've chosen to play, which is a lot of seasons. So I get a kick out of knowing that Hank Aaron's next home run in one of my projects will be the 411th I have rolled for him, and then he is 13 home runs away or ahead of his actual total for the seasons I've played. Let's see if we can grab this thing here. Boy, would I love to get in touch with this guy. You've got to email him, so I don't think I can. Let me see, Ken. Is it down here where I can open up? Nope, you have to email him. So, I will get a copy of it, Ken, and we'll show it some night on the channel. All right.
I got a question.
Yeah, absolutely, Bernie.
Don't you think we all play seasons? The reason we play a season is our own reason. We pick seasons we want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And they interest us for a particular reason. They don't necessarily interest other people, but they interest us.
Right.
And I enjoy watching some of these replays on YouTube. I particularly like watching the replays where the person doing it is a good broadcaster, has a good personality, is entertaining, almost more than I enjoy watching whatever project he's doing.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. That's why I like to, catch legends, catch Chris Slovic, Robert has like the most unique style ever, right? RGL Network.
Not only would I put, if I did a cards and dice game on YouTube, not only would I put the people listening to sleep, I'd fall asleep.
But
RGL Network, Robert does, he just brings him and Dwayne just bring their games alive as far as I can. You know, it's almost like you're at the game when you're listening to those guys. The reason I bring up this question is because Mike Sports Simulations website, I know why he's excited about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand why he would think I'm excited about all his stuff.
I think that's a question we can all ask of ourselves as well. You know, this channel is devoted almost exclusively to baseball and primarily to dead ball baseball and 19th century baseball. And I've kind of stuck with that thanks to, Ken Castro. Many times I wanted to throw in the towel. He said, "No, do it." He said, "Even if it's you, just you and me here." And I still ask. I think it's a great question, and I wish I could answer it, Bernie, because I mean, really, a large part of the community really, and this is not a knock, guys. Please don't take it that way. But a lot of people don't really care about, the 1901 season or the 1906 season, right? A lot of these names for many people are you've never heard them before, or you've heard a few of the usual suspects. And I wish I knew. I do them because they interest me, and because again, I'm never, ever, ever going to name that YouTube channel because it's active. But the day I heard that as deadball being just dismissed out of hand was the day I had to double down. So whether people are interested, for me, as far as like my excitement about deadball, what's relevant for me is community. For this gentleman, perhaps it's the same thing. Maybe he's reaching out to communities, right, to the community of the cards and dice players, and saying, "Look, I'm doing this. This is good stuff," and maybe it's an impetus for them to continue. That's a great question, Bernie, and I don't think I don't know that I could answer that. I'd love to get him on here and have him answer that question because this is, of course, J. Henry Law light because he doesn't like lose his, like in the Universal Baseball Association. But I did get that vibe at first. But seems to be maybe it's just out of a sense of joy. I don't know. I mean, you're picking. One of the seasons you're doing is 1914, right? Boston Red Sox replay. Well, they didn't go to the series that year. Their crosstown rivals did, the Miracle Braves, but you're playing it to see if you can take them to the series to change history. I don't know. That's a good question, guys. What do you think in the chat about Bernie's question? Any thoughts? I think it's a great one, and kind of a very postmodern question, if you will. So, um, open one of his season-ending yearbooks. All right. So Ken is telling me to do that. Let's pick. Well, yeah, I'm gonna pick 1908, Ken. So no surprise there. All right, here we go. Oh, so all this stuff is on Delphi forums, guys, if you want. And so not only does this gentleman roll all these games, he writes these recaps. So just to give you, we're just going to pick one here at random. Philadelphia Phillies 1, New York Giants nothing. It took 13 innings and 98 batsmen before either team could muster a run. The 98th batter was Phillies reserve Ernie Courtney, who singled beyond the reach of Fred Tenney to plate the game's lone run. With one out in the bottom of the 13th, Otto Nabe drew a walk, the second issued by Christy Mathewson on this day, and Fred Osborne reached on an infield single. Sherry McGee stepped to the plate, and Giants catcher Roger Bresnahan couldn't handle a Mathewson fadeaway for a wild pitch that moved the runners up a base. Mathewson got McGee on a liner to left field that was too shallow to score the run. With 2 outs, Courtney, who came on for the injured Kitty Bransfield in the 8th, made his big hit. Mathewson struck out 10 men in his valiant but ultimately futile effort as he was bested by Philadelphia pitcher George McQuillan, who yielded only 6 singles in his 13 innings of stellar work. I love the fact that he's doing this. My question is, how would you find the time? Because I'm going to scroll here, guys. I'm not going to read anymore. But look, you're getting box scores, more game recaps. And this discussion goes on for 680 or 662 pages. That's just 19. That's just wow. It's crazy. It's crazy in a good way, I think. But I wish I knew, Bernie. I wish I could. I love your question, and it doesn't. Let's see. Are we getting any answers to it? Of course, world's worst gamer is getting philosophical by saying, "Why do we do anything? I don't know. What is life? I don't know." Well, the answer is 42. Clinton says because in its unique way we're able to read historical novels while using very real baseball players and playing our games. I like that. I like that kind of that resonates with the educator in me. Let's see. Jamie says, I apologize for self plug with my publication. I wrote about this in an article. Never apologize, Jamie. The reason you guys have wrenches in here is not only is a thank you for being part of this family that we've all built, but also for you guys to pimp your stuff, man. So don't apologize. He says, nobody cares about your replay. So do check it out. Let's see what else. Let's and Clinton. Yep.
Well,
So I
I'm not saying I don't care about their replays.
Oh no,
There's
I know
different
that.
reasons why I listen to other people. For example, like our jail network, like we just mentioned.
Oh yeah.
He's a Mets fan. Do you
Yes.
think I want the Mets to win? I could care less if the Mets win, but he's
Right.
just he's entertaining.
Yep.
Almost everybody that is in our group is entertaining. That broadcasts, I think.
Oh yeah.
And and almost
Almost.
everybody that broadcasts is entertaining. Sometimes I fall all over myself. And Michael, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. I started doing this at age 72 on May 18th of this year. So it isn't as hard as you think it is. You just go on YouTube and be yourself and call the game like you would call the game in your head as you're playing it.
Yeah,
It'll be fine. You'll have a good time, and I think you're going to be very good at it if you ask me.
Oh, absolutely.
See, I mean, well, it's interesting because, like I said, I don't really say out things. I'm kind of whispering things to myself, like as I'm playing, So, just and it's not like I'm doing every single play either. So I gotta. I think what I might try to do is just maybe I'll record a few things before, obviously not go live right away. Maybe record a few games.
Well, I did that. I
Okay.
recorded for the first month or so, and I don't recommend it.
No.
Okay. You do it because you don't want to make a mistake. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to make a mistake on every broadcast.
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm more. I just want to know what I sound like.
Well, you sound great. You sound great. Just go on and be yourself. And if you do make a mistake, laugh at it and move on.
I know. I'm not worried about that. I'm totally not worried about that. I don't take this that seriously.
Also, you get more views and you get more interaction if you do it live than if you do it recording. If you record it, I don't have what do I think as of this morning I had 97 subscriptions to my YouTube channel, and I regularly get over 100 views on my games.
Nice.
There are guys that have 2,000 subs on their channel that get 100 views. So I think I think it's important you just be yourself.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I just it's just a thing I'm not used to, and we'll see what happens. I mean, yeah. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm sure. What my vision is, I'd love to have like something like this, like where get some guests on, and maybe have a 2-man booth or something. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, and see, have someone on just shoot the breeze as well. Like kind of like I love what Beatles does. That's like I love that format.
Thank you. Well, so, I mean, it's out of necessity because I'm not a broadcaster, so I had to create something, and it wasn't a conscious decision. It was just I found myself more and more interacting with you guys, and it's like okay, because I'm not saying this stuff to try to get any praise. I know what there are things that I'm talented at doing that you guys have never seen yet. Music, magic, whatever. But for me, when I listen to guys like Legends, and the first time I heard Chris Slovic, I was blown away. I'm like, oh my God, this is a real baseball game, right? And of course, Ron Juckett's really good. Dave Gardner with his "struck him out." I love that little tagline.
Yeah.
So and all these guys have their hooks. My hook is I don't know if it's a hook, but I just love the idea of creating community. I love that.
Yep.
And again, props to Dave Gardner, who's probably long since left. Uh, Dave Gardner did a whole nice long broadcast about community, and I got to say, to Dave, uh, whether he'll catch this at all, I also want to thank him for that because it resonated with me, and it came at a time. So for those of you here who are longtime members of this community, it used to be a very very cohesive community. Ken, I'm going to be bringing this up again, and then we'll go through this stats and standings, which is crazy. You guys will love this. So, and maybe I should pick. Let me pick a more recent season for everyone. Um, so there was a time that on Sundays, because I was still back home in Europe, on Sundays that we would get together on it was they're called I forget, it's like the tabletop Earls, we call them the two Earls. We'll go to 1975. Why
Yep.
not? Let's rub it in here. No, 1967, keeping with our theme. Final stats and standing, right? And so we would all get together, and he would have his webcam set up, and we would play Apple horse racing. And I mean, our Red Sox fan was there. Sports Time Machine was there. D. Scott Howard was there. Clinton Parks, Ken Castro. We had everybody. Jester came in. It was amazing. And then for a while, the community kind of sort of went adrift, and I'm seeing it becoming more cohesive now, and having guys coming in now, like Bernie's been doing this since April. Legends has been around a little while, but I'm talking 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Mhm.
And it's nice to see the community coming back together where people are really, really, promoting others' channels. Because to me, it's not about building subscribers. It's about building community. And when I say, well, I'm not going to play a game tonight, or I'm going to wait because Legends has something coming on, it's because you know I think it's important that we do that. But I just
Yep.
like engaging with you guys. It's fun. This is something I've always wanted to do. Hang out with a bunch of really knowledgeable baseball fans and talk about one of the very few things in my life that I think just my passion for this game increases every day.
Hmm.
The other two things, music and magic, I guess, and well, my love of animals, of course. But I never had that. I grew up in some very violent things and stuff like that. So it was me and baseball. And now to hang out with, and there's still 15 people hanging on here. To me, this is amazing. And this is even more fun than doing a game. I just love
Yep.
talking to you guys. I love reading the chat and all that. I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So thank you guys, man. You guys
Oh.
make this fun. You really do. And so that's why, Mike, I keep saying, come on, you gotta do this, you gotta do this,
No, it's
you gotta
great.
broadcast,
Great.
man.
I mean, Beatles. I mean, I was just kind of lurking, like on certain. I just watched some videos. Then the time I came onto your thing, when I saw that you were using the Pox and Action PC, I just put a comment. Hey, I like those Pox. You were like so welcoming and so like it was so easy to join. So you kind of brought me out of my shell like here a little bit. Like I never really. It's just great. I'm just so glad that I was able to join and to do these things because I really look forward to talking, shooting the breeze like this. So it's a lot of fun.
Good,
So
good.
thanks.
Oh, hey, that's it's all good. You're most welcome. So Ken, with all his exclamation points, has been yelling, "Go to the final standings in link." And Dwayne March. So Dwayne and Ken yelling at me. So here it is, guys. So this is for 1967. And if you'll notice the scroll bar is hardly moving. So of course we've got standings for 1967: Red Sox, Cardinals atop. But here's where it gets crazy. So these are all these games. He's keeping, look, batting average, home runs, doubles, hits, strikeouts, stolen bases. It's like you're looking at the all-time major league source book or Total Baseball or whatever, tracking everybody. There's Yaz, 126 RBI, Killebrew behind him at 118. Yastrzemski, what a killer year, huh? Not that we needed this to remind us, but there's Frank Howard, by the way, right? So I guess may his memory be eternal. This is amazing, guys. So, I mean, I know you can't read it, but do go to the site. In fact, I will put a link in the chat for you guys to check this out. You have to. So it's split up by National League, American League, of course, And this goes on and on. So this reminds me here, of course, of the this is all-time baseball source book in total baseball format here for standings. Um, I can't imagine doing this, and I think it's great. So not only that, but now he's going to break everything down by team, so you get complete rosters.
Huh.
And yeah, this is incredible. This is just I've never seen anything like this outside of an official book that you have to pay for. Like Total Baseball, or the things that you see. There's the beloved Red Sox, Tony C with 96 games, Yastrzemski, George the Boomer Scott. Everybody's here. Everybody is here. This is just I got to applaud this guy. I mean, if you're going to have passion about something, and everybody should have a passion about something, go for it, right? Some might call it obsessive, but you know what? This guy is putting his energy into something that he loves. And isn't that better than putting your energy into destructive things, right? Oh,
Mhm.
we'll scroll past the Yankees really quick. I don't know, unless Sports Time Machine is still here. I just wanted to get down to my Pirates. There's Dwayne's Braves. This would be a great little research tool, or maybe a great way if you would, you either roll up a season, or you play out a season digitally, what have you. Compare your, because this guy's doing it for a long time. Compare your results to his. Could be kind of fun. So there it is, guys. Let me put this link in the chat, and enjoy it. It's immense. It is of Tolstoy proportions. Bam, there you go. So Ken already had the link in earlier. Anybody have any questions for Bernie, for Mike, for anybody? Carlos says RJL is great. Just adjust your volume. So I've never seen a guy who can take a wood pulp plane, right, a wood byproduct, cards, and make it exciting every play. Is like bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs in the World Series. So props to Robert, even if he is a Mets fan. In the last Shanks League, he was assigned the Pirates and the Mets, and it was great to see him picking lots of Pirates for offense, and picking excellent pitchers from the Mets, because Pirates suck at pitching. But anyhow, I don't know. I mean, Bernie, I've got to ask you the obvious question: what prompted you to get into doing live streaming? Because you've only been doing this since April of this year.
Well, that's a good question.
I tried.
I think before I had listened to you, I had spent a lot of time before I found your channel. Spent a lot of time listening to Al, Red Sox fan.
Same here.
And he tends to do the type of sports that I enjoy, and he seems to have a good time doing it. And just thought to myself, it was something that might be a lot of fun. I'm not the type of guy who's going to go on every day and do a broadcast on a daily basis. Or I'm like a 1 or 2 game a week guy. I enjoy doing it once in a while. I'm doing it because it's fun. But what I really enjoy doing my season replays and watching how they develop. And that's why I asked that question about. I know why the guy did this, and I'm really impressed that he did it. And I even enjoy looking at his results. But I was curious why he would think I'd be interested.
Right.
Because I'm really interested in my projects because of my own personal reasons.
Sure.
I'm not.
Yeah.
For example, my replay of the 1967 Red Sox season this year probably is not enjoyable to a Minnesota Twins fan.
Probably not.
And I wouldn't think he'd be really interested in my project.
The reason I like go ahead, Bernie, because I wanted to add why.
That's all I was going to say. I'm more interested in the person doing the project for the guys I follow, like yourself or Al,
right,
or Dwayne or Robert. I'm more interested in the person doing the project than the project themselves, because I find that person interesting. I can learn something from them.
So the reason I love your question goes beyond just doing what we do here as a community. So my job history largely consists of either working in academics, and I also have years in professional show business experience, both as a sleight of hand artist and as a musician. And a lot of entertainers ask themselves, we ask ourselves that question because in my estimation, the most difficult occupation in the world is show business. There's no guarantees, right? If you can throw a baseball, you can run on a football field, you can whatever in sports, right? You got college scholarships, and I mean, you got to bust your ass, but if you become one of the elite and make it to the major leagues, right? And that's with any of these sports, even if you're up there for a cup of coffee, you've made it, right? And show business, you live in a large city. How many eminently talented entertain musicians, magicians, whatever do you see? And they're busking. Um, I'm not trying to elicit. It's just that it's the plight of the artist. It's what we know. But what I'm getting to, Bernie, is why your question really resonated with me and gave me pause. Was I have found myself through the years asking, why would people be interested in either the magic I'm performing or the music that I'm performing? And I've come to the conclusion that I don't know why, but I owe it to people that they are giving me something far more valuable than money, and that's their time. And
Hmm.
so that's I've just got to go with it, and people will like it or not. I hope they're interested. For me, it again, my hope is that people are interested in learning, um, some more stories about even the usual suspects. Like today, for instance, on your channel, you talked about Sam Crawford. That's a name that's looms large in baseball, as Big Clue said in that chat. An inner circle Hall of Famer, truly great player. But how many people, baseball fans, know about Sam Crawford? Not a lot. And that's why I do it. And I'm hoping that there is that person out there, or two people or three people that are like, hey, this weird guy does this baseball thing where it takes him 3 hours to do 5 innings. But I learned about, George Sisler today, or I learned about Benny Koff. We talked about Benny Koff the other night. Um, you know, so that's my hope, but that's coming as an educator. That I love learning, and I love turning people on to this stuff. And here you are, you like dead ball baseball, and I'm like, okay, mission accomplished. I got somebody interested in dead ball baseball, apart from Ken and Clinton in myself. It's like, this is cool. And
Well,
it,
what's really weird
you know
is that I bought 9 American Association
so
seasons this today.
all
I
right.
can't even believe it. I haven't even. I
That's
don't
funny.
even. I know. Before I got this book a week ago, I didn't even know the American Association existed.
I think that's awesome. And Bernie, I got to ask you, we're going to see some 19th century on your channel.
Yes, you are.
Ken
You,
Castro, did you hear it?
as a matter of fact, it may be on sooner than you think.
Uh-oh. Guys, check it out. We could have some American Association baseball on YouTube, and I think that'll be a first, actually. Because I've never done purely American Association on here. I've done teams from the 19th century, but I've never done anything like just confined to that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And
What I think would make an interesting broadcast
mhm.
is not only the game, but telling the story about the American Association,
Oh, that
the
would be
story behind the
great.
teams, the story behind the players, the owners, what these guys were like. Almost the game could almost play in the background as you told the story of the team.
Hmm. I like that. And you have a fan already here. Pib99 says he says he'll be watching. He just finished his 1886 American Association replay. Whose website is that on the screen? So Todd B, welcome in. Late, but always late to the dance, but always welcome. Todd, this is the gentleman who rolls like thousands of games per year. So you might want to check this website out. It's pretty amazing what this guy does. So we're getting up to the 2 hour mark, and I didn't want to let this one run our usual 5 hours. So we'll get down to any questions that guys might have, or anything any memories you'd like, Bernie to share about the Red Sox? Some great games you remember, some things that, yeah, just anything. We'll leave it open here for a couple more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. And it'll be early for me. It'll be 12:27 actually. And we're going to start a campaign to get Ken. What I'd really love? I'd love to get Bernie and Clinton and Ken Castro and Pib 99. I'd like to get all these guys on here at the same time using StreamYard. Talk about it. I want to get Dwayne Martz back on here. Big clue. Really like that you guys come on and talk about what you're doing and just about anything. So Bernie, we're talking about this gathering, convention, whatever.
Yeah.
You interested? Because
absolutely,
Ken is not going to let it rest. He is not going to let it rest, and I mean, we really want to do it. So, guys, if you're a member of the Discord, just post somewhere in the Discord. Let's see what would be a good channel here. And in the Discord, if you could put it in just somewhere because it'll show up. Just say that if you'd be interested in a possible having a get together during the baseball season next year, Kansas City, we did agree that Kansas City would be the place to do it. Kind of nice and central. Make a trip to the Negro Leagues Baseball Hall of Fame. Catch a Royals game. Just put it in there so that we can start figuring out how we'll do this, and I will reach out to hotels and things like that and see if we can get some kind of good rate if we can do this, say, late April, early May in Kansas City, maybe while hotel prices are still somewhat reasonable. World's Worst Gamer, we hope you can come down from north of the border. And Forever Remain 90, if you're still here, hopefully you can come from Germany. MV said he would come from the United Kingdom. Bernie, you and D. Scott Howard, you guys are West Coasters. So Mike, we'd like you to come, everything. So start getting this going because temp is fugit, guys. Temp is fugit. And Ken had a great
listen,
idea.
I want to put it.
He said it'd be
Go
fun
ahead.
to do some live streams from our get together, and I think that would be a blast. And who knows what it could grow into.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Sounds like fun. Listen, I want to. I don't mean to change the subject, but
No,
since
do.
looks like we're coming to the end, I want to put in a plug for Las Vegas. When this, as a matter of fact, if we don't end within 30 minutes, I'm going to sign off because the Formula One race from Las Vegas is live on ESPN at 10 o'clock Pacific time.
I will not.
If you want to see, if you want to watch Formula One Grand Prix racing through on the Las Vegas Strip, you've never seen anything like it in your life.
So
anyway, that's the plug.
Oh no, I used to catch a lot of that back in Europe, and I remember especially living in when I was living in the Netherlands, and these guys are just roaring through Rotterdam, and it's just like unlike anything you've ever heard, except for the Yastrzemski home run, perhaps that you talked about earlier. But that sounds like a lot of fun. No, we won't keep you much longer here, but I just want to say. Thank you to both you guys, Bernie especially. Mike, we got you here, of course, but Bernie, it really meant a lot tonight. You fielded a lot of questions from these guys, and also just sharing your memories again. And I know I focus so much on Ted Williams. Remember that's my love for older baseball. And here's, you saw this man play that I think I would be just like SGJ Jamie. I'd meet somebody. I'd meet somebody like Ted Williams or whatever. What would I even say? What would I say to Ted Williams? You saw this man play. Who and that great. And I'd love for you to do the 1941 season at some point, Bernie, for obvious reasons, right?
Oh.
Williams and DiMaggio. What a great season that one was too.
That'd be fun. Listen, Carlos Diaz asked a question I want to answer here in the chat.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
He says, I know a Red Sox fan, you're a Red Sox fan, but in your lifetime, best baseball player ever.
Ooh, good one. All right.
In my lifetime, I would have to say David Ortiz. I've never seen, because he may not be the best baseball player ever, but he was certainly the most clutch hitter I've ever seen.
Yep.
And without David Ortiz, the Red Sox did not end up with any of those World Series. That's
Right.
just my opinion.
I agree.
Maybe 2018. He didn't play in 2018, but
Okay.
the other three,
Yeah.
it was about David Ortiz.
Okay, let me ask you this, Bernie. Now, who's your favorite non-Red Sox player in your lifetime?
My favorite non-Red Sox. That's a good question.
Thank you.
My favorite non-Red Sox player is not going to be any surprise to you.
Okay.
It's probably Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle, good choice.
He just, if God was going to invent a baseball player, it would have been Mickey Mantle.
How about it? Power, speed, right? We forget about he had great speed. Mickey Mantle used to steal bases, despite the constant pain in the knees and stuff. Mantle was a monster. I read something about Mickey Mantle recently, Bernie, and he said that when he would hit a home run, he said he would never look at the pitcher. And I noticed this now watching old clips of Mickey Mantle. He would run with his head
He
down.
put his head down.
And he said the reason being is he said I already hurt the pitcher enough. Why do I want to show him up? And I thought that was class. That's pretty classy of Mick. But the other fun thing I love about a little story about Ted Williams just quickly, even on that last home run he hit at Fenway, he would not come out. He wouldn't doff his cap. He would do the thing. Williams was to the end. How about it? So Williams doesn't go to Korea. He doesn't go to World War II. All-time home run king until Bonds. What do you think?
Probably not,
question.
But he would have been close.
Would have been close. All right.
I think my guess is high 600s.
High 600s. Okay.
He wasn't the home run hitter those guys were.
Right. He had such a beautiful swing, though, didn't he? He really did.
He did. He had
just pure swing. God. You know what his swing reminds me of a little bit is Ken Griffey Jr. It's almost like Griffey Jr. I don't know. There's just a similarity in that, just the grace that both of those hitters had, and of course, Griffey in the Hall of Fame. But imagine had he not been injured, and I don't want to just focus on home runs, but that is kind of the thing in modern baseball. So Bernie, got to ask you a question again. And I know that almost all of Williams' career was before your time, but I'm wondering, is this story apocryphal that Williams once claimed that or somebody that he could tell where his eyesight was so good that he could tell where on a baseball he hit it. And I guess apparently in a batting practice or an exhibition, there was tar put on his bat up on the barrel, and he was able to say where he hit it, and they measured it, and he was like within like millimeters. Is there any truth to that, or is that just one of the great old baseball tales that becomes truth? I'm just curious about that.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But this much I could tell you.
Mm-hmm.
He was such a good hitter. His eyesight had to be superior.
Mm-hmm.
It just had to be. I think I read somewhere that his eyesight was 20/10.
Which is an eyesight that I used to have. Oh my God, it's rare to have eyesight like that. I don't have it anymore because of Glasso vitamin water, but that's for another time. 2010. Yeah,
World's Worst Gamer wants to know who my favorite Red Sox utility bench player was.
Good question.
Of all time.
Yeah.
That is a good question.
I got one.
The first player that comes to mind is Brock Holt, because he was the latest utility bench player.
I got one.
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
And it's not. I don't think he's the best player at all. I mean, but just because as a kid, I loved this batting stance was Phil Plantier. That's right. He was like, I used to mimic his batting stance. I'll try to do it like in I was playing baseball, in Little League or Babe Ruth or whatever it was, probably Babe Ruth. And I just felt like an idiot, but I love that stance. And he was pretty decent. Like, he could he had some pop for a little while.
World's Worst Gamer, I'm going to answer your question. It's not going to be exact. They aren't utility players. One was a bench player. A guy I really love was Daniel Nava.
Oh, yeah.
And Nava's famous for hitting his first pitch he's seen in the major leagues into the Red Sox bullpen for a grand slam home run.
Wow.
And he had one season he hit over 300. So, I mean, pretty impressive. He came from independent baseball. He should never have made it to the major leagues. And he was truly a favorite bench player. But one of my favorite Red Sox first basemen of all time is Dahlbeck.
Yeah, Dahlbeck. Yeah, he's another one. Yep.
He was a guy that just you couldn't believe he was a major league player. I loved him. He batted 250, 240, 260, hit 22 home runs.
Yep.
But Brian Dahlbeck was one of my favorite players. If you weren't a Red Sox fan, you probably don't even remember him. But
I have no idea who you're talking about. So there you go. Thanks for a little bit of education there. Go ahead.
Brian Dahlbeck, he played several good seasons for the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, Bernie.
Question. All right, guys. This has been an absolute joy. Bernie, again, thank you for coming on. Looking forward. When's your next broadcast?
Oh, probably the end of next week sometime, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll take a look at any of the games that might be interesting, and I'll say it's probably it's been about a week. It's time for me to broadcast again.
It is time for you to broadcast again. Forever Remain 90's got he's bringing in the White Sox again, and I love it because he's our community White Sox fan, and he said Dahlbeck played for the White Sox as well. Guys are also talking about some other Red Sox players we haven't played: Mike Greenwell, Rick Burleson. I'm surprised Burleson didn't come up. The Rooster did not come up in the conversation once tonight. Interesting. I'm not asking you guys to represent the Red Sox, obviously, in totality, but surprised not to see Burleson's name come up.
He was one of the better shortstops, but I think he's certainly behind Garciaparra and Rico Petrocelli as far as Red Sox shortstops go.
So, guys,
and Vern Stevens, of course.
Oh yeah, well, so JT Dutch and I one day a couple years ago had a great conversation about Vern Stevens, and there is a player who I'm going to feature some night. I'm going to if I have to create a game with Vern Stevens on the roster, just so we can talk about Vern Stevens, because that's somebody who definitely deserves to be remembered. Before we sign up, guys, is another sort of baseball site to, as if we need another rabbit hole, baseballguru.com. Check it out. It's up here on the screen. I'm going to put the link in the chat because, let's face it, once we all get wealthy, we can just do this 24/7. This is fun, and there's even a game on here. But we've got trivia here. This is great. This is just great stuff. It's a very 90s looking website, so the design sucks, but what a great website this really is. So I hope you guys will like this. I think it's a great resource again for putting together replays. I think the more resources you have, the better. Finally, this will be for the next chat, but I'd mentioned that baseball. Is it Sports Replays? Is that him? The guy, the blonde-haired guy that plays Diamond Mind at lightning speed. Talked about today in a broadcast about selecting teams for all-time great team seasons. And so just like you guys, maybe if you can, to watch it, maybe we can talk about that on our next sort of baseball chinwag. He argues that it should be a team's wins over a team's winning percentage. That should be criteria. And I'm just curious to get everybody's thoughts. With that, Bernie's going to go off and do F1. Mike is going to go create more ballparks and get ready to broadcast whatever, and everybody's going to do what they're going to do. So again, Bernie, thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
I can't
say it enough. And Mike, thank you for coming on, and for both of you guys. Yep, for your contributions to the community and everything. And so, guys, we've gone on for too long. YouTube has limitations to how far I can go back to saying chat and thank everybody. So for everybody that came in, I know Dave Gardner was in here earlier. Robert was here. Everybody, thank you. And support each other, whether your projects are online, you're a content creator, Post your stuff in Discord. Post your stuff here in live chat. Again, that's why you guys have wrenches. And Jamie, if you ever apologize again for talking about your stuff, I'm going to get angry, dude. So I want you guys, it's important that you share what you're doing. It really, really is. So please do. Okay. All right, guys. Until next we meet, as I always sign off and say, live baseball, love it, breathe it, everything, and we'll see you around the batting cage. All right. Good night. Wait, what big clue you want? Dead ball? You've just heard me talk for 2 hours and 16 minutes. What are you booing me for? All right, I'll tell you what. I'll come back in 10 minutes, and we'll do a game in the Castro McGregor League. All right, just because I'm not tired, and I faked sick for my girlfriend tonight to hang out with you guys. All right, I told her, and since I got off the phone with her, I started this broadcast. 2 hours amateur hour. I'm gonna come back. This could be a cruel joke. I'm gonna come back. Now I know there's not gonna be 19 people. So thanks to all of you. This is like one of the bigger broadcasts ever done in this little channel. I'm gonna come back here and it's gonna be me. But I'll come back 10 minutes. All right, guys. Till then, see you around the batting cage and take care. Bye bye.